Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, welcome back to MH Radio, brought to you by MHSU, a program that has been ongoing for a while now, where we talk about various interesting topics from various fields like education, health, and even gaming. Today is a bit different compared to the previous MH Radio videos though, as we are going to have a digital painting workshop with the topic Digital Painting Simplified. I am Fakhri from the Art Division of MHSU, and I will be your host for today. Here we also have our mentor for today's workshop, Ahmad. Would you please introduce yourself?
Okay. Hello, Fakhri. My name is Ahmad, and I'm from MHSU, and I'm also the leader of the art division of the MHSU.
All right, thank you, Ahmad. Art isn't just about paper and paints. In this day and age, we must not neglect the newest art form, digital art. It'll be interesting to see whether the arrival of the computer in the late 20th century turns out to have a similar effect as that of the arrival of photography on artists in the 19th century. Never painted digitally before? You don't need a lot of special equipment to get started, just some creative ideas, a gadget, and the right software. In this pre-session, we want to value the audience in our YouTube channel by giving them information and the real simplified way on how to make a digital painting at a young age. So without further ado, let's get into the main event of our workshop, which is the tutorial. Over to you, Ahmad.
Okay, thank you, Fakhri. So I'm going to start screen sharing my application. So the very first step of every painting stage is, of course, you would open your own preferred digital painting application. So in here, I'm using Krita as my preferred application. So the next step is to create the new file. So in here, we are going to create a landscape painting. So we're going to change the aspect ratio into something that is landscape. So in here, I'm using 16:9 aspect ratio. And in here, I have 3,200 pixels and 1,800 pixels. And then I'm just going to create it. Okay, then it's already here. Let's check. And it seems fine. So the next thing that you need to do is to grab your reference, because sometimes there are some subjects that you still do not know how to paint, or you still have no idea how they look like. So I'm going to grab the references. Okay, to put your references on this application, you only need to use the tool right here. Let me enlarge it first. This tool right here, the one that looks like a pin or a thumbtack, right here, and then copy your references. You can take it from the Google image or wherever you can gather your reference. So then I'm going to paste it on this file by pressing this button right here on the top left on the two options. Okay. Sometimes it takes a while. Okay. Okay, I'm going to use these four references as my main guide for the painting. And then next, I'm going to show you how the painting is going to look like when it is finished. So basically, the painting is going to look like, I'm just gonna wait there then. The painting is going to look like this. This is two attempts that I made before this recording. So we are going to create that, and let's get started. So the first step that you need to do is to actually study your reference pictures. How I would do that is to study the colors by color picking this image and analyze the colors, the average colors that this desert scene has. So to do that, I will click the control button on your keyboard as a shortcut for the eyedropper tool or the color picker tool, and then just press it to see the colors, and you can observe the color wheel on the right side. Let's- I'm going to start with the sky. Okay, it's basically blue. I think it's closer to the cyan. The blue is closer to cyan color. It's okay. I think yeah, that's the average color. It's around like this section. Then I'm going to go for the desert. It is obviously yellowish orange, and sometimes it goes to the red. This part when it goes darker, like right here, it's very yellow. So I'm going to just pick the average color, which is going to be orange. And then the next thing that I would do is to create a new layer. You can look at the bottom left, like here, the plus button, like that is for the for creating the new layer. And then I will sketch out uh, my scene by using my favorite brush that I usually use to create a sketch. This is the one that looks like a weather. If you are also using Krita, it's called Sketching 3 Leaky. You can see the name of the brush on the bottom left, right there. You can see it. And then I'm going to pick the right size first. Yeah, I think this is pretty okay. Okay. First of all, I would determine where is the horizon line. In here, I saw that in the pictures, I see that the average horizon line position is in the middle of the canvas of the whole image. So I'm going to put it there. Then the next thing that you need to do is to create a perspective, and something that will help you to create a perspective is to use a vanishing point. A vanishing point. That is a term that is called that is often used in art. So how to use it is that you only need to create a dot, and then you, create lines that connects from the outer edge, like closer to the edge, into the point itself. What I'm creating here is a single vanishing point, or one point perspective, and you can always add more uh, vanishing point. But I'm in here. I'm just going to use one because it suits the painting that I'm going to make. But I think that's good enough for the vanishing point that will act as the guideline that I'm going to use later. And then I will start from the sky. I think I'm going to create some clouds, and we're just going to follow the vanishing point guides that we have made before. So one thing that you have to mind at all time is that things that are closer are actually wider. So in here, I'm going to create this a cloud this wide, and then the further it is, it will become closer. I mean, it will become narrower. The closer it is to the vanishing point. And then do the same for the second cloud. I'm going to make it like a fluffy and soft cloud. So usually my sketch is always this kind of a rough type of doodles, and sometimes it's not understandable for other viewers, but I hope you understand this. This rough sketch is pretty much the how you would do in the first step of your painting. So there are actually two types of creating sketch. The first step is to create this rough sketch, and then the second step is to refine your rough sketch into a more finer and cleaner one. But if you don't mind continuing immediately to the painting, it's also fine. And the one that I'm going to use is to is to just continue to painting. And the clouds is done, I think. And I think I'm going to continue with the details of the desert. Maybe just create some hills, bumps of the sand, and try to make it look like the reference image. Or maybe this one too. I think there's not much to add. Just be mindful of the perspective. Just make it a lot wider the closer it is to us, and then make it narrower the closer it is to the vanishing point. Okay, I think that's good enough. For the desert, I'm going to create the mountains in the background, like here and like right here. So I'm going to create that small, not small. I'm going to create the mountains that look small because it is far in the back in the scene. I'm just going to create this simple sketch, and then maybe I can erase some this lines that are actually obstructing the overall visual of the sketch. I think it's good enough. Then the second step is to immediately go into the painting step. Just create a new layer, and I'm not going to use the same brush as the one that I used for the sketching. I'm going to use a brush that is suitable for me when I am painting. I'm going to use this brush that I downloaded on the internet, and it's called Grainy One. Okay, we're going to use the colors that we have already studied before on the reference image. Let's start with the sky first. I remember it is around this part, this area of the blue. This, I think it's around this part. Okay. And just paint these flat colors on the canvas just to block in and fill out some gaps to make sure you know which are the sky, which are the clouds. So in here, I'm going to separate the clouds with blue color of the sky. I'm just going to paint this very loosely and very messy, but you don't need to be very mindful, I think, when you are just starting. Yeah, I think that's for the sky, and I'm going to mark the clouds by using I'm not going to use like plain white color for the clouds. I'm going to use a darker shade of it, which is going to be around maybe this gray right here. Yeah, I think it's good. So the reason why I'm painting it very loosely and not too opaque is to not uh, make it, I mean, to not make the sketch disappear from your painting, because sometimes you still need the guides and in your sketch. I'm going to fill out the part, this part. Maybe I'm going to reduce some of this clouds later. This is how I'm going with. Okay, then start with the desert next. So it's around this hue, I think, and around the saturation, it's closer to orange. Okay, let's use this first. And just follow the sketch that you have made before. Personally, I prefer to first follow the vanishing point first, finishing these lines that we made for during uh, uh, the time that I made the vanishing point. So I just made it like one way and directing towards the middle, which was where the vanishing point was. Okay, and just fill out the gaps more. You fix some parts. Yeah, I think this is the first step to fill out your canvas with color. And then the next thing that you can do is to start um, rendering, like defining your colors. Wait, first of all, I still need to uh, fill this mountain in the middle first. So this color of the mountain is actually pretty uh, tricky, because the color of the mountain is sometimes um, diffusing into the atmosphere like this right here, and then the further it is, it's actually getting bluer, and it's actually one subject that is very hard to understand. I'm just going to color pick this from the reference image. I think I'm just going to use this color and just apply it on my image. And I'm going to elongate the mountains. Let's zoom out occasionally to see your overall progress and see whether it looks good enough or not. Okay, and I think this is okay. And next, I would hide the sketch, because I need to see, because I don't want to see the sketch being there, and I just want to see the colors that I've already put in the canvas. So I'm just going to fill out the white gaps right here, the ones that I missed when I lose when I was loosely painting the colors. And let's start to fill them up. I am also constantly using control button to color pick the colors that is already on the canvas. And also I usually undo, which is a universal button, which is Control Z. And I'm just going to use those buttons for probably the rest of this painting process. I think to make it a lot faster, I'm going to start adding shadows to the clouds first. I'm going to use a darker, maybe shift it a little bit to the blue part, a little bit more. I think it's okay. And I would be a little bit mindful about where the light is coming from. And in here, I think I'm going to plan that the sunlight is, or the light source is coming from like right above the clouds. So it's passing through these gaps of the clouds too. So many people think that shading is very hard. Um, I think I have an advice, and that is to actually be mindful of where the light source is coming, and also be mindful of the shape and the texture of the object that you are shading. So in here, I'm shading, adding shadows to the clouds, and clouds are fluffy, so I'm just going to make this fuzzy and loose, darker color painting, and just going to soften them out a little bit so it would blend better with the lighter part. So I think I'm going to add more of the lighter color on the clouds, but not too much. Maybe just on the tip of the highest point of it, just like that. I think that's okay. Yeah, let's start with the Untitled Desert. So we are going to use a darker color of the shade of the orange, and we're going to shift the hue into a more reddish part of this color wheel. Right. Yeah, this is good enough. I'm going to just still follow the vanishing point and make the brush stroke direction still very uniform. Make sure to lift the light part also because we want to see some highlights. And a little bit of blending um, by relying on the pen pressure of your pen tablet. That was some highlights. Blend it a little bit more. And just clean things up. Okay, the desert is looking pretty okay for now, so I'm going to continue with the sky. So I'm going to add a lighter um, blue on the sky that is closer to the ground because light bounces. So in this case, the light is bouncing on the ground into the sky. So I'm going to make this lower part of the sky lighter than the part that is higher, like right here. Blend things. I think a little bit more. Sorry. Then make it closer to cyan. If it's too much, just adjust it. Okay, I think I'm going to add more darker value on the clouds for these shadows. And we are also going to make this part right here that is closer to the vanishing point, like make the clouds a little bit blue by painting a little bit of blue color on top of the clouds, so that it would look as if it is diffusing. Like I said, it is diffusing into the uh, atmosphere, or you can call it aerial diffusion and diffusion. Okay, I think I'm done with the clouds and the sky. And I'm going to clean out this part and make sure that the horizontal line is still intact. And lastly, I think this part right here, and add some lighter value on it. Okay, I think that is for the mountains. Let's add one last thing in the image, which is like this, I don't know, moon or planet. So my trick is to use a round or circle selection tool, and it's right here. Just select that area if you think it is good enough for the location of the planet, and fill it with black. Uh, the shortcut is Shift Backspace. It is for filling solid color. And now that we have that filled, we can set the blending mode of the layer. You can see it above the opacity right here. We have this layer blending mode option. And then we are going to choose Lighten, and it disappears. So then what you need to do is to lock the transparency right here, like right here, if you can see it, and use lighter color and try to mimic the behavior of how the light is acting on top of a sphere. Okay. I think that's the easy way for you to create something that is very far away, like planet. It to use the blending mode, lighten. I think that's good enough. Maybe just add some more textures to it by using a different brush that is good for texturing. And move it maybe closer to the middle part, middle. Okay, I think that's good enough for the moon. Let's say it as a moon. Okay, that is all for the digital painting tutorial. I will leave the rest to you again, Fakhri.
Oh, wow, that turned out amazing. Thank you very much, Ahmad, for the insightful tutorial. Now, after seeing your painting process, I'm quite curious about your other artworks, and I'm sure our viewers are curious as well. So, would you mind showing it to us?
Okay, I'm going to show some of my best artworks through Google Slides. Let me share you the slide. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to start with the very first one, which is this one. This is, I think I made like around 1 to 2 months ago, maybe around October, uh, for the reading diploma project of our English reading. And then next is this one, this dragon. It's actually one of the hardest painting that I've done because of the complexity of the subject and the perspective. And then this one is also my favorite because it was one of my first attempts at creating full body illustration. And next, we have this sci-fi and robot painting. So I think I made it also probably around 2 to 3 months ago. This was made for uh, I mean, like, how do you say it? Draw this in your style event on Twitter. And then the character was actually a TV guy. So this robot on the left. So I made the head looks like TV. And then this one is another version of the dragon. And this is the main process um, that I usually use. So the first one is like before I sketch out the messy doodles first, and then try out some colors and see which colors does that is working, and the colors that doesn't. And then the hardest part and the part that took me the longest is of course the rendering or the refining and detailing. And this one, I made these two painting is based off of my friend's.
Thank you very much, Ahmad, for the showcase. Now that we've seen some of your artwork, I'd like to ask some questions if that's okay with you. All right, now on to the first one. What inspired you to paint?
There are several reasons. The first one is the fact that drawing in general has been my hobby since I was a child. And then the second one is actually me wanting to create artwork that is as great as the masters out there, and probably can create something even better. That is all.
I see. Then, do you have a favorite painter that you look up to?
Yes, I do. Like most of people uh, do, they have a favorite painter, and in my case, it is Ruanja. So he is a digital painter from China, and the reason why I like his works is because of how he's actually pretty good at using uh, his brush. Like I'm going to show you this one. This is a spaceship. Like a spaceship is a hard surface. How do you call it? Hard surface object. So it's actually pretty hard to paint by just using only brush. And most of people online use a 3D model for the base, and then they just paint over that 3D base. But in Ruanja's case, he did not, and he just uh, paint it from scratch by using brushes. And then next, this is the second one. This is I like it very much because of how he created this complex perspective and the details. It is actually pretty hard to pick the right colors and then to detail the army right here. It's pretty hard, and you can see later how detailed his works are. And this one is another one that I really like because of the feeling that this really shows the scale of the dragon because of the smokes and all, and it can be seen fighting the very small human compared to that giant dragon. And the next one is this one. So I really like painting characters, and I was really stunned when I see this painting of his. And I was stunned because of the level of the detail he was able to create, and also the textures that he was able uh, to paint on these different parts of this character. And this applies the same to this female character. Yeah, I think that's all.
All right, thank you, Ahmad. Now on to the next question. I'm pretty sure that it took you a really long time to hone your skills up until this point. But may I know, like, how long exactly have you started drawing, both digitally and traditionally?
For traditional drawing, actually, I started a pretty long time ago. I'm not sure when was the first time, but the the one that I remember was when I was in the first grade of elementary school. I remember I was just drawing on the back of an examination paper. And then for digital painting, I started like the very first time. I think it was 2019, and it was only for testing a mobile painting application when I was in uh, Kuala Lumpur, and I was bored, and then I never touched digital painting anymore until the pandemic. And then after the pandemic, I started to be serious with the digital painting stuff.
All right. Then aside from like scenery, as we've seen earlier, what else do you like to draw?
Scenery. I also like to paint characters. I also like to create, concept designs, and I also like to create some simple pixel art.
I see. Um, all right, now on to the last question. Aside from like seeing other digital artists on social media and like wanting to have the skills that they possess, what else motivates you to draw?
Um, I believe it's what the what the wait like a part of me wants to make this hobby of drawing and painting to be something that can create money, and also like I would like to create some maybe a lifetime project that is uh, including a story that I've made for some time, and I would really want to finish that for my personal satisfaction.
Wow. Okay. Well, I hope you succeed in your project, and I hope you also succeed in pursuing art as a career. And yeah, that is all the question that I have. And that concludes today's digital painting workshop. Thank you, Ahmad, for being today's mentor. And thank you very much, everyone, for your attention. We hope you learned something from today's workshop, and we hope to see you again in another MH Radio video with even more fun and interesting topics. Also, just a reminder that we have other MH Radio videos that you can check out over at our YouTube channel, Mutiara Harapan Islamic School. And one more thing, don't forget to like and share this video, leave a comment, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bye.